dates for our fair are August 28th through September 8th. Come and join us up here. See what we have to offer.
Working for Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds.
Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds.
They have an incredible climate for growing root crops and vegetables. Here's a display of giant vegetables. That is an OS cross cabbage, famous for its large size.
Hi, I'm Jaime Rodriguez. I'm the assistant gardener here at the Matt Valley Agricultural Showcase Garden. It was started in 1987 with some federal agricultural money. The original plan for the garden was to just have demonstration rows of the vegetable crops that the original colonists grew. One thing's true about Alaska gardening, it changes a little bit every year because you never know what the weather's going to throw at you and where there are going to be holes in the garden that have to be filled with something new. This is the OS Cross, the Oriental Supreme Cabbage. It's the giant cabbage of Alaskan fame. This one probably weighs somewhere between 30 and 60 pounds if we were to weigh it out. It's a pretty good one as giant cabbages go. What's really surprising about them is that even though they're huge, they're sweet and tender, they're not a bit woody. The entire thing is edible, even the outside leaves. I first saw these two kale crops growing at Rosemary Veery's potager garden in the Cotswolds, and they were about a foot tall, and they were beautiful in her garden, but I realized what we can do with kale crops here in Alaska. They're my two favorite kales. It's Tuscan Kale and Red Boar. One thing that's useful to know, all of the food crops that get grown in this garden get harvested and donated to the Senior Citizens Club here, where they get used in their Meals on Wheels program and for the lunches that they cook. So nothing goes to waste here. Originally known as the colonists' bed, and the only plants grown in it were original heirloom varieties that the colonists grew when they settled this area in the 1930s. The only surviving plant from that original design is this strawberry. It's an heirloom strawberry that they call the Sitka Strawberry. It's got a medium-sized berry that ripens to a sort of pink salmony orange color. We just refurbished the bed this year. It's kind of been taken over by this perennial sunflower here, and we've got clumps of it that we left survive, and we're still having to fork up the strays. Welcome to the garden. This is our new arbor that was just built for us this year to hold this clematis. It's one of the original plants from the garden in 1987. It's Clematis tangutica, Siberian clematis. For many years it was the only flowering vine that anyone grew here in Alaska. We've since expanded the list, but it's still a beauty. My favorite planting of it is to put it at the bottom of a spruce tree because it'll climb all the way to the top, and then you have a spruce tree with yellow flowers that'll stop traffic. One of the things that makes the whole garden possible, and it's kind of hard to see except from the distance, is this whole row of trees here is a windbreak that was planted intentionally to help protect the garden from our winds, which can blow up to 50 miles an hour. Cultivar name is called Rescue, and the red color from the apple skin will make a beautiful pink applesauce or pink apple jelly. The next tree over, that you can just see the apples left on the top of it, is called Chinese Golden. It's a delicious eating apple, and the apples actually dry or freeze quite well, but they don't store long, either of these varieties, and so they have to be pretty much used right away when they're ripe. So we grow the green globe artichoke as an annual here in Alaska. Some years we get better production than others. This was a good year for growing beautiful foliage. And there's still a couple of them for us to eat. These typically do not get shared. The gardeners argue with each other over who gets them.
Okay.
This is another one of my favorite parts. This is an old fountain that was originally built here with the visitor center, and when the fountain died, they filled it with gravel and left it sit for a couple of decades. And back in the early 1990s, I was asked to turn it into something pretty, so we built this rock garden, which has been thriving here on the north side of the cabin ever since. It's filled with mostly native plants and a few others that have been added just for fun. This is our native Rhodiola rosea, which is the latest rage in the horticultural industry here, because it turns out Russians have been using this plant as an anti-aging herbal food supplement for decades, and people think it might be Alaska's next great crop plant. It grows at the very high elevations in our local mountains, but it also does well in the garden here. Some of our other native plants, we have a little daisy here, a Rigeron compositus. There's this native geranium here. This is our little dwarf Jacob's ladder, the beautiful Jacob's ladder, Polemonium pulcherrimum. We have a couple outside plants. This is the eastern dwarf sand cherry. It's a lovely little cherry shrub, and the little black cherries that grow on it are delicious and make a wonderful jelly. Another one of my favorite plants is our native subshrub alpine willows, and this is my favorite one, the netleaf willow. It's just going into its fall display. It's an amazingly tough plant.
Now we're off to the Matanuska State Recreational Area, Matanuska Glacier. So let's see what happens. So here we are at the glacier finally.